The Unfiltered by Jade.
Jade. Welcome to The Unfiltered by Jade, where we get out of the box and dive into topics that are sidelined. I look forward to entertain, educate, and inspire. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, donate, and make everybody know about this.
Beats by RB Records.
Shopping assistance, your style, your budget. Our services include online and local shopping for individuals and businesses, personal shopping, purchasing of company and office supplies, importing and exporting small packages across Jamaica and worldwide, and helping you find unique gifts and items for all events and occasions. Contact us at 876-919-5195 or shoppingassistance2015@gmail.com. Shopping Assistance, your style, your budget. Welcome back to Unfiltered by Jade. Today we have with us here Traci Brooks. She's an executive director at Earth Mutther Healing, a certified holistic doula, a Reiki healer, a community certified life coach, and a mental health first aider. Hi, Traci. Welcome.
Well, hi to you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
So today we're going to speak about transitioning from girlhood to womanhood.
Yeah.
This is normally a time of confusion, but you're here to bring us clarity where this is concerned.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I really, you are here to do that for us. I want to first find out what happens to girls, or what happens in a girl's life that journeys her from womanhood, and how do we go about talking about it?
Okay, well, first I'd say that, the Creator has made this magnificent body that we have. And of course, the first movement or transition into womanhood from girlhood is a biological transition. Okay. Of course, we go through that onset of the puberty, our menstrual cycle starts, and the body begins to change. And with that, of course, the hormones in the body, which then affects the mood, the maturing process. So that is one of the single markings for the transition into womanhood. However, in my opinion, sometimes our children are thrusted into womanhood very early based upon family dynamics and community and society. And that could be more of an emotional pushing into to womanhood. And I say that simply because I think about myself as a child, and I think about the girls of today, and I look at, you've got a lot of outside influences that are pushing them to do woman things with a girl mind and a girl body and a girl spirit. And so some of those things, are going on. When you say, how do we talk about it? I believe that the talking begins in the home. The parents, in particular, the mother or the mother figure, begins to talk about womanhood very, very early. This is something that should happen, as soon as possible. You begin to just talk about the roles of the woman. In particular, I say the woman of African descent, because that's the background that we have. That's the knowledge that we have. But you begin this conversation very early, and you begin to educate the child so that when that onset comes and when that transition begins, there's a little less confusion. There's a little less fear, because I know a lot of the young girls are afraid of the transition into womanhood because they're ignorant. They have not been educated.
In terms of talking about it, so I've realized that these days we have young girls who are, as I said, they're afraid to talk about it. They don't want to speak about it.
Yes.
They're afraid to talk about period.
Yes.
I've actually seen girls cry when that topic has been brought up. And they shun from it. They don't want to talk about it. But, for me, it's
It's better you hear about it from inside house,
Yes.
from a trusted adult, than
Yes.
to go there to hear about it. Because you
Absolutely.
may not hear about it in the most appropriate way or the proper way.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so it is important that we talk about it
Yes.
with our kids before.
And I think that the parents or whoever that is that's going to hold the conversation needs to be sure that they're at ease. You don't, because sometimes, I've heard young girls say that, oh, their mom said, okay, well, you started your period, you can be pregnant now. Make sure you don't have sex. Okay, well, that's not an education.
Yeah, I think that's also fear though.
It is. And so the parents begin to push fear. And so that's not helpful. That's not what we're talking about here as far as having that dialogue and that conversation and an open and easy and free flowing conversation so that there's a safe space for the child to speak, you know.
I agree.
Mhm.
What is importance of having, well, we discussed the parts of it, but the importance of having our parents talk about these discussions, not only periods, but what happens
Mhm.
in that transition, than hearing it from strangers or teachers.
I think I think that the role of the parent is a very monumental one because every family has their own standards, their belief systems, their philosophy for life. If they're a part of a community, then that of course stretches into that community that they are a part of, and so the parents want to impart with their daughter or the young girl those things that they believe. And it's not just about having a period. I mean, there are plenty of women that are out here that have periods, but they're not women
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just about the biology. This is a spiritual time. I believe that once you do have that cycle, that means that the body is prepared, of course, as I said earlier, for pregnancy. And that means that now you can become a mother. And
Mm-hmm.
the role of mother is a very spiritual role. And so you have to combine the spiritual aspects of womanhood. And I also believe you have to talk about the cultural. So the parents have a major role in this because the parents are trusted, hopefully. And of course, when we talk about these things, we're qualifying that we're talking about quote unquote centered, quote unquote good parents,
Yes.
because sometimes you don't have centered parents, and they could be imparting things that don't help the child. But we're talking about those parents that take that role seriously and are carrying it out consciously and thoughtfully.
Hmm. What are some of the tools used to transition from a girl to a woman?
Well, when that question comes to me, the first thing that comes to my mind is rites of passage. Uh,
Mm.
Historically and culturally, traditionally on the African continent and in the African diaspora, to include here in the United States, there are people of African descent who have put together and established across time rites of passage to bring children, that's both girls and boys, into womanhood, which he's speaking of now, but bringing the girls into womanhood. And that means giving them training, testing them, molding them, shaping them, encouraging them, giving them challenging aspects or duties or responsibilities that they must move through to fortify them. And without that, a lot of girls are stumbling and falling into womanhood versus stepping into womanhood.
Mm.
And I think that it's very important that we, implement these rites of passage. Now, is everyone in a community that has a structured rites of passage? No. But the family, you could have the mom, the aunties, the older sisters, the grandmother, teaching the women how to cook, how to do some basic skills. And I'm saying that not to lock us into certain roles, but I'm finding more and more because I also have a program that I run called Stepping Into Womanhood. And within that program, a lot of the women don't know how to cook. They don't know how to budget money. They
Mm.
they don't know about their bodies. They don't know their cultural and historical origins. So a rites of passage lets them, gives them access to training and tools that will help them be better women or to be women at all, if I could say, because a period and an age doesn't make you a woman.
Aye.
Breasts don't
That's
make you a woman.
aye. Oh, you can say that again. But no, no, I laugh and I say that because normally you hear um older people saying, "Oh, you have breasts now, you think you're a woman." You
Right.
know,
Yes.
that
And
doesn't
it's
equal.
unfortunate. Yeah, it doesn't equal. But unfortunately, most of us think that our body makes us a woman. And so that's why we're strapped down. Our breasts are hoisted up, our behinds are, just tightened up. And that's how we think we parade our womanhood. And it's so far from that.
Mm. Hey, by the way, what age do you think is appropriate to start talking to our girls about this period,
Did
this
you
time?
say what age?
Yes.
Well, I can say, and you're speaking of the period itself? The
No, just like what to expect.
Okay. So I, began this. At one point, I was a teacher and I was with an organization in a school where we started introducing the girls to womanhood at around 3 and 4.
Ooh,
Yes.
what?
Yes. And we would have them, I would teach them, for instance, how to carry themselves, how to hold your head up, how to walk nicely. If you drop something, you don't bend over and put your butt all in the air, but to squat down and pick it up. How to speak to people. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, instead of, huh, what? So you're teaching them just ways first of just carrying themselves, how to respond to adults, how to respect the elders. Um, Also, on the continent of Africa, knowing how to count money and be in the marketplace. Being in the marketplace is very important. So you talk about allowance and how to, if they get birthday money, how to handle the money. Teach them how to donate and share the things that they have. How to be friends. This is all a part of womanhood because, even in our communities, we say a lot of women say they don't deal with other women.
Mm.
You see, so these things start very early, and it's all beyond the biology, the biological aspects. It's just about teaching them how to be in community, and also I will add how to embrace themselves as they're growing. So any age, really.
That's important.
Yes.
How does a young girl find herself? She wants to know, who am I? Where do I want to go? Who do
Mm.
I want to become? How does she do that at an early age?
Well, I think that also she doesn't do that on her own. I do not think that that would be a successful journey to do it
Mm.
alone.
Okay.
I believe that the family and the community are responsible for helping the child find themselves. And in some aspects, we start in before the child is born by picking out the name that the child will have, and then naming that child. For instance, you may name a child spiritual tower. That would be Afi, or in the hands of God, Mawusi, so that child, every time that name is called, they understand certain things about themselves, that they are sent here with a mission. They are sent here with a purpose. So in some spiritual practices, the child is, a divination is done so that they're determined what is the child's destiny at an early age. But some of the other things that I think are very important would be something as what I would call as simple um, as knowing your family tree.
Mm.
Who are your grandparents, your great grandparents? And I'm not disregarding the aunts and uncles, but who are the people that are directly responsible for you being on earth? So you teach the child, this is your grandmother, this is your great grandmother, your grandfather, your great grandfather. Tell them the names, tell them stories about them. Of course, our history, our historical experience sometimes doesn't allow us to go back as far as we'd like to. But a person is a person because of other people. And if
Mm.
you don't know those other people in your family line, then you don't know your personhood. And so I think that becomes very important, knowing the family tree. And then I would add to that, knowing our collective history. Many of us think that historically, we were just slaves, you know. I believe you're in Jamaica, is that correct?
I'm from Jamaica, but
From
I'm in the
Jamaica?
US.
Okay, so just like that. So, the Maroons, we have to learn about Queen Nanny. We have to know about Marcus Garvey, Cujo. So these things have become important here in the United States, understanding that we were brought here and then teaching what were the women like in another time. We had warrior queens. People are getting ready for this big movie coming out.
Oh yes, with Viola Davis.
This
Yeah.
is historical for us. But
Yes.
if we don't know this, we become so excited and joyed that we finally found out something in a movie, but these things are in books. And I think that the family is responsible, because when you know that you come from a strong background, when you know that you come from people of high standards, of great intellect, of doing great things, then you too know that you can
Mhm.
do great things. And this is important in teaching. These are tools that we give our girls.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. How imperative is it that a young girl has good examples around her?
That is, I think, very important. I would call them living models um,
Mm.
of, of good character, living models of good character. I think it's very important that they have experience an eyewitness account, that a child or young girl watches her mother and sees her mother treating her friends well. She sees her mother mothering well, managing her home, being in good relationship with her own mother, meaning the mother's mother, speaking highly of others. A lot of times, as little girls, we watch our mothers gossip. We hear them gossip. We hear them telling lies. Tell them I'm not home. We start very early
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
doing all of these things. And so, of course, by nature, we're going to pick up what we see and what we hear. And so the models become very, very, very important. But again, as I started earlier, this requires that the parent understand their role and what that role means to the child, because our first examples are our mothers. Our mothers are the first teachers. And so, if we've got a mother that's consciously aware of her role, spiritually connected to her role, then she provides that model. And then she's very particular about the people that she surrounds herself with and her child. Everyone shouldn't be able to come to your home,
Right.
because some people come into your home and they don't have, the kind of characteristics or behaviors that you want for your child.
Right.
These things become important, that the child does have a model. And it doesn't have to be just in the home. It could be family, it could community, it could be friends. You help your child, with choosing friends. And it's not that you pick the friends, but if you're teaching her good character, then hopefully she chooses friends with good character.
There's a question that's lingering in my mind. Can a man or can a father help a young girl into womanhood?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I think that the father and a father figure, or a male role model, is very important. The presence of a man is very important, because we all know about the quote unquote daddy issues,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes women just, chasing after men because of the things they did not have as a girl from their father or father figure. And so I had a friend when I was coming up, when I was a young adult, and she said her father used to buy them jewelry all the time. He would buy them flowers. And he said, I'm doing these things. He had 5 girls. And he said, I'm doing these things for you all now. He says, because when you all meet boys and they start trying to buy you jewelry and buy you flowers, you're not, your head isn't spinning because of that, because you've already gotten that all your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not enticed by those things. And so they're going to have to come with more than jewelry and flowers, you know. So the
Yeah.
father, I think the father shores the girl up in just learning to show her love, show her respect and kindness, and then teach her about men.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're blind. We don't know. We think the brother looks good, and we're like, hey, looks good. He bought me some flowers. I'm down.
And that ain't it.
It is not it.
That's not it.
No, no.
No, Lord. So is this a difficult period for us to maneuver?
It doesn't have to be. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. I think if the girl and the young girls have the right support system, then the difficulties are lessened. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have difficulties, because
Right.
all growth processes have difficulties, but you lessen them because now you have included some of the things that we talked about. Maybe a rites of passage program,
Right.
maybe a family that's involved, workshops. I do a workshop called tweening, and it's bringing the tweens, that's 10, 11, 12-year olds, preparing them to become teenagers.
Right.
I do one for the teens. So, you begin to assist the young girl so that the difficulty isn't so great. You're going to have those peer pressure. You teach, in the workshops, I talk about peer pressure and how do you deal with that. Talk about the body, talk about choosing who you want to be. You can choose who you want to be. And then from there, you choose what kind of characteristics that you want to have. What kind of, what do you want to be associated with you when your name is called,
Mm.
and these are the things that we provide our girls, and we expose them to as much as we can culturally as well. Take them to museums, take them to the library. Of course, people don't even go to the libraries, I don't think, as frequently as they used.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh.
You know, have them watch classical movies from way back, so that they're learning things about our culture and our history and about life. Watch nature films. You can learn a lot from the animal kingdom. these are things that, they're very inexpensive, and they're things that we can do. And we usher our girls into womanhood by consciously holding their hands and walking with them through this time so that it is not as difficult as it could be.
And be open to hearing them ask questions and answering in appropriate ways. Because sometimes when they ask questions, we're like, oh, you're not supposed to ask me that question.
Yes.
We need to answer them because it's better we answer them than they go out and get the answers from another person.
That's right. And I recommend, when we get those questions that we think are inappropriate, just take a nice deep breath, and they don't have to see you take the breath. Take you a nice breath and say, help me to help myself. And you keep that face straight. Don't ball the face around. You just take that little breath, say, You do the best you can, And then if it's something that's way out, you say, you know what? I hadn't really thought about that. I wasn't really prepared for that question today. I'll tell you what, let me get back with you. We're gonna have us a little tea and some chips or whatever, and we'll talk about it. Let's schedule a day for that. And then you go to your room and say, merciful Father. I know she didn't ask me that. You have to say, yes, she did. So let me get myself together. So we have to be preparing ourselves, because any day that question comes, and we have to be ready. So we have to study and know, and and be clear on what it is that we want to share, with our girls.
Some of those questions, man, they don't come out yet.
Yes, anytime, anywhere. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Tracy. Oh wow. Listen, a couple of those questions came to mind.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. A couple of those questions have come my way already.
Yes.
So Tracy, thank you so much for sharing.
Oh,
let me get myself together. Thank you so
now,
much.
just that example, you see how those questions came to your mind and you just fell out laughing. Now imagine if the child asked and you hadn't had those questions already.
Listen, sometimes I've been so shocked. I'm just looking
Yes.
like, dear God.
We have to prepare ourselves, because we don't know when those questions are coming. So we have to go in the mirror and say da 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 da, and say.
And the thing is, sometimes they're anticipating the question, their answers right away. We want to know.
That's right, they do. So, if we're preparing, we can answer, and if we haven't prepared, we just tell them, "Hey, let's have a time for that. We can get some lemonade. Let's sit down."
Wow. Yeah, it has to. These questions sometimes put you in positions where you have to learn to always be prepared.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Tracy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this. So you have given us some great advice on how to go about these things, and the structures and the rules, and as I said, it's sometimes all coming back from our history. Our history is important in teaching them to understand it, so that when they get older, they'll know about it. So they know who they are, they know their identity.
Absolutely.
So they don't go out looking for, their identity elsewhere, because you're already given all of that to them.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm speaking of. You got it.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about doing it from their 3, I've never looked at it that way till now. And I see how important that is.
Yes.
Even telling kids, this is your name, and telling them what it means.
Yes.
So that they're even affirming themselves when they're calling themselves, they call their names and they're like, this is what it means for me.
Yes.
And it shows up their identity, and they become more confident, because that's if we give them good names, because sometimes the names that we give them mean rock or soul.
Well, we've given them some names. I'm not going to call them because I don't want to offend anybody, but sometimes we have the names of alcohol. I mean, I've heard it, and I'm saying, okay, so are you linking your child to a wine?
Exactly.
So, I mean, these things can happen, and it doesn't mean that we're bad people, but we're just not sometimes thinking.
Thinking about the impact it will have.
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, let me get
Oh.
my Chardonnay out. Let me get it. And there I am. So I mean, my name, right? So maybe you
Oh
should just call
Lord.
it water. Water is life. There's so much to all of this. So we just have to, and I think, when women are pregnant, they have birthing education classes.
Right.
I am a doula as well, but I have parenting classes so that I'm talking to the parents about these kind of things for their children.
Yes.
They can be thinking about this very early because these aren't things that, there's no parent handbook. We don't get that.
No.
So I think we have to, put ourselves in a position so that each generation is doing better.
Yes.
And I don't just mean financially, that our mental health is better, the way we communicate is better, the way we respect our elders and our family members
It's
is
better. Yes.
our understanding of our mission and purpose in life is better and clearer.
Yes.
And as we have that kind of training, now we begin to change not only the lives of our children, but we change the lives of the people within our community. And now we change
Yes.
the lives of our people. And to me, this is the utmost of importance. And so this is
Yes.
why, at Earth Mutther Healing, I like to have these workshops and classes to share some of the training that I have received, not only from life and through books, but through the research of the culture, the history, the understanding. I love our people, and I've studied it so long and been with people that have, lived this life
Mm-hmm.
and sat with elders. And so we have to transmit culture and tradition and history and information and spirituality and all of that. And now we put our women in case of the boys as well, we put them on the path of manhood and womanhood that they can be assured and proud of.
Yes. I agree with you on that.
Yes.
So Tracy, where is it that we can find you?
Well, I can be found in many places, but I'll tell them how to find me on the internet. So I can be found at www.earthmutther.com, and mother is spelled Mutther, earthmutther.com. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Earth Mutther Healing. And maybe at another time I can talk to you about that whole name of Earth Mutther, because when we talk about names, this name was given to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Thank you so much again. I really enjoyed the podcast.
I enjoyed it as well. Next time we're going to have some tea with this, and we have some
Yes.
lemonade and just.
I truly enjoyed it. Sometimes, I get the most laugh out of some podcasts. You never thought would bring some things out for you.
Yes,
But this is good. This was good.
I enjoyed it as well, and I thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners for listening to the Unfiltered by Jade. And we'll be back next week, Tuesday. Thank you.